Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and happy Tuesday to you. Today is Tuesday, March the 28th. That means this is the last Tuesday of the month of March, and this month has zoomed right on by. Shortly after the 10 a.m. hour, we are here at 901 Main Street in the heart of Old Town Conyers, and we're calling our meeting to order this morning. And Commissioner Williams will be joining us shortly. At this time, I want to, as we call our meeting to order, I want to call our good friend to lead us up in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, none other than Pastor Charlotte Hill from the Loves and Hug Tabernacle. Pastor Hill, come on up this morning.
Why you got me turned back?
No, ma'am, you can just look towards us on the microphone and they're going to record your beautiful, lovely face this morning as you look toward the people of Rockdale County.
So
they hear you in the back, you just look at us.
Look at you.
Look at me, there you go.
I'm always used to turning the other way.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
anyway, it's a pleasure to be here this morning to bring the prayer to you guys that's all working together in Rockdale County. So with no ado, no waiting, let us all just stand just for a moment. We come to you this morning asking you, Father, to cover each and every person under the sound of my voice. And most of all, Father God, give them leadership commands like they always have had. Father, cover this county right now like you never covered it before. Lord, let the people of this city know that if we run together, we can pray together. And if we pray together, we can get the job done. Father, we thank you right now for who you are in all of your glory and everything that's in the midst of it. I ask you this morning to set this city on fire with your Holy Spirit. And for those that never had the touch, Father God, give it to them before this week is out. Let them know that you are the one that's in charge, and everything that you call out shall and will be done. In your Son Jesus Christ's name, we offer up everything that could convict this city of anything that they're known to not do, and bring it to pass. Father God, and the leaders of this place, just touch right now. From the judges all the way down to the governors, everything that's involved in this city, Father God, you give them reign to lead like they never led before. And Father, we promise to give you all the praise and all of the glory. But Lord, we ask you right now to intervene on anything needs to be intervened on. Because it's not a thing called, I'm watching you as my friend. I'm watching you as Jesus watch you. And Lord, we promise right now to walk by faith and not by sight. And we grant you all our love, all our perspective. And Lord God, we give you all the glory for your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Let us all sit together. Amen. 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 And amen. Thank you, Jesus.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you to Apostle Hill from Loves and Hugs Christian Tabernacle. I want to just take a moment, commissioners, and highlight the work that the good folks over at Loves and Hugs do on behalf of so many of our families throughout Rockdale County. And they often do a lot of that work behind the scene, and it goes unnoticed. Pastor Hill is a native of Rockdale County. She's been here. She knows the new stores, the old stores, and some of the stores that are brewing. So we thank her and her congregation. Pastor, we thank you for being here this morning. We thank you for the work that you and your church are doing each and every day for so many of the folks here in Rockdale County. Each time I visit Loves and Hugs, you know that you're going to be in for a spirit-filled worship experience over on Klondike Road. If you've not had the opportunity to go over there, it's gonna set your soul on fire. So I just thought let's give Pastor Hill another round of applause this morning. We need bold preachers and clergy members in our community who's on the front line for the people of God. So thank you so much, Pastor Hill. Also this morning, I believe, Executive Director Rutledge, that we do have some special recognitions and presentations this morning. And I think first up is Making the Transition, presentation by our very own DA, the Honorable Alicia Johnson from the District Attorney's Office. Madam DA, come on up this morning. Morning, morning. And let's give the DA a fine round of applause for the work. Absolutely.
Good morning, Chairman Nesbitt.
Good morning, good morning. I want to talk about you for a minute. If I could just talk about you just for a minute. I want to talk about you and your office. We don't get to see the DA, the district attorney, that often. And a lot of times when people do encounter, it's probably not always a good situation. But let me just tell you about the difference in the DA's office in Rockdale County. One that really embraces the community. They do a lot of education and information about how the DA's office work. I think that's important to have a DA's office who's intermingled with the community. So you don't just see she and her ADAs or the investigators when there's not so good news, but really building relationships, and should I say partnerships, with all the local entities here in the community. And I wanted to make sure I said that because I think a lot of times folks, they watch TV. We had the opportunity to do a Chop It Up with the Chairman, and oftentimes people go by basically what they see on the news and in the movies on television about how a DA's office really work. But we have one that is really community-based and involved in what's happening here in Rockdale, not just on the not-so-good moments, but making sure that we embrace the direction of this county as a whole and giving real justice for everybody in Rockdale County. Madam DA, let's give her another round of applause. Thank you so much to you and your office for what you're doing. Talk to us this morning about making the transition.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for affording me this time to make what I promise will be a very short presentation about some great work that we're doing in my office. Now, while it has been and will always be the priority of the DA's office to keep Rockdale County safe by holding offenders accountable for crimes they've committed here in Rockdale, it has also been my mission to ensure public safety includes crime prevention initiatives. A component of this involves the DA's office moving from the courthouse into the community to engage, educate, and empower the youth of Rockdale County through various programs designed to disrupt any pipeline into the criminal justice system. The data is clear, and the research has shown that such programs prevents the onset of delinquent behavior and supports the development of a youth's asset and resilience. It is with this mission that the Project Yield was created. Video, please. YIELD, like I said, stands for Youth Intervention, Enrichment, and Learning by Design, but by definition, there are two pretty important, I think, appropriate definitions for the word yield, right? The first definition for yield is to surrender, right? What are you going to allow to control you, to surrender to? The second definition of yield is to produce. So when I mentioned to you, that I'm asking you all to join me and help me by being yield ambassadors, what I'm asking you to do is what are you going to surrender to, and what are you going to produce as a yield ambassador? I'm asking you to surrender to your core values, to your values of integrity, of doing the right thing even when no one is watching, because it matters. I'm asking you to yield and surrender to self-discipline, to doing what you know you need to do consistently with commitment. I'm asking you to yield to your core value of being honest, of serving others, of being a leader. A leader means that you are going to be the example in Hills Academy, in your homes, in your churches, in your activities. You be a leader. Yield to being a leader wherever you are and wherever you walk and wherever workspace you go to. Yield to that. Do not yield to the temptations of negativity. Do not yield to the temptations of what social media says you should do or what music says you should do. Yield to the core values that have been imprinted and implanted in you by Hills Academy and those who love you best of all. Because when you yield to those core values, you will produce the greatness that God has called and destined you to produce. And so as we begin a new school year at Hills Academy, it is my desire to see you all thrive. To see you all thrive in this community and in this world and beyond. So go, thrive, yield to your core values, and produce. Thank you for having me here today. So last summer, with the help of grant funding, we piloted Project Yield by partnering, as you see, with Hills Academy for a summer program. And I am pleased to say that, again, through grant funding, we have expanded our prevention programming to year-round and include students from the Rockdale County Public School System. But I'm here today to publicly thank you as a board for allowing my office to now elevate Project Yield to the next level of addressing other important needs in our community. Your support will allow us to partner with Making the Transition Incorporated in furtherance of delinquency prevention and violence reduction. Through this program, we are focusing on nonviolent youth offenders because the data shows that early intervention programs of this nature reduces the likelihood of youth perpetrating serious and violent offenses in the future. This, in turn, is investing in long-term public safety here in Rockdale County. So I thank each of you for your commitment to public safety and to the investment into the promise of who our youth in Rockdale County can be. And I look forward to returning for what I know will be and to speak to the success of this endeavor. So thank you all so much for your time.
You're quite welcome. Commissioners, any comments or questions of Madam DA, Commissioner Washington? I'll start with you.
Well, so making the transition is, I represented this young man who was going through some things, and he was actually in DeKalb County. And I wasn't supposed to be there that day, but I was supposed to be there that day because the gentleman who is the curator of the program had this phenomenal presentation, and every one of the youth were sitting there they were involved, they were sitting at the edge of the seat. I was sitting at the edge of my seat. I'm trying to participate in the program with them. They were giving feedback. They were so engaged, and I walked up to him after it. I was like, either I'm supposed to be in your life or you're supposed to be in mine, but we're going to work this out. And so we talked, and I said, well, listen, I want to introduce you to our district attorney, and let's see where it goes from there. And I am so happy. I'm going to ask that when she gets this up and running, that you all go and attend at least one of the sessions that Mr. Strickland puts on for the youth, because he is amazing. His story is amazing in and of itself, but the way he presents is next level. I'm sure that our youth are going to be greatly benefited, are going to greatly benefit from this program, and I'm so glad that you got it, District Attorney Johnson, because I think this is going to be phenomenal for our youth.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Williams?
So what caught my attention was the word disrupt. I love that word because it can be such a positive word and the juxtaposition of those two meanings. And I like to think about, you know, you said disrupt the pipeline to criminal justice. And I appreciate your having participated in our Stepping Up Steering Committee, because that's what we're trying to do there too, is disrupt that recidivism and that back and forth.
Absolutely.
Because when people's lives change, and it can start really young. I've often said when I was teaching that youth at 14, 15 years old make really important decisions that lead them down a path. And so it really becomes important to disrupt that early. Sometimes youth make really great decisions, but sometimes they make some really unhealthy decisions that young.
Absolutely.
And so I appreciate everything that you are doing
Commissioner Williams, I
so
appreciate
much.
that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Madam DA, don't want to be redundant for several of the things I've said already, but certainly this program and your presence have created a positive pathway for so many of our young people. And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. In Rockdale County, oftentimes, those of us that are in civic leadership, when not so good things happen in the community, sometimes folk begin to point fingers at the community and civic leaders, particularly law enforcement and those that are in elected officials positions. But what we want our folks to know in Rockdale County, that we have these proactive, preventive programs to bring young people into an understanding of how to make good choices and decisions. And I think whatever we need to do to help broadcast, market, advertise, get the word out to so many people in the community, particularly parents, about those opportunities to expose their young people to people and mentors and opportunities to help them make positive decisions about their livelihoods and their path forward. Because oftentimes we always hear the negative piece, and again, what people think that we're not doing as community leaders. But there's a lot of things happening, and I always talk about the local churches. There's so many churches, there's so many different nonprofits, not just government. But here's the DA this morning talking about making the transition. We're going to support you. We're going to support our young people. We're going to support our parents. I do believe that a lot of the ownership, and let me be clear, is on the parent. Parental involvement, whether it's at the school or whether it's in the community, is critically important because not too many times you're going to get too many of the leaders that come to your door or to your living room or your family room or your basement. You got to inquire about what's happening in the community, what opportunities, what options are available, so that parents will know what the community has to offer. But we do applaud you in your efforts. We're going to be here to support you as this program continues to move forward. So thank you again.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you for
much.
your work. Let's give her another round of applause. Next up, I believe Executive Director Rutledge is none other than our Executive Director of the Conyers Rockdale Economic Development Council, Mr. Kevin Hanna. Come on up, Mr. Hanna.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be back before you. Thank you for inviting me. I think I'm going to make it a habit of trying to get here as often as possible going forward. I'll be brief, but there are a couple of things I do want to report upon and talk about just a little bit. Things are starting to heat up, literally and figuratively, in the economic development realm in Conyers, Rockdale. A number of deals are kind of popping up and moving along in the process when it comes to coming to fruition. One such deal is what I call a mega sport deal. It's pretty well known, it should be pretty well known now, that the Dutch Lions organization is or has been in negotiation with the city for the purchase of the horse park. I've been told by reliable sources that those conversations, those negotiations are moving along very, very well, having been supported by the Dutch Lions acquisition of the RISA facility. That happened, I want to say, sometime last month or the month before. But that acquisition plus those negotiations point to the very good possibility that the Dutch Lions site plan is going to come to fruition. And that plan, if for those of you who don't know, includes everything from hotel to training facilities to a competition stadium for women's soccer and a lot more. But the purchase involves the entire the entire site that the city owns at the horse park. Along with that, we are working through 3 very large projects, and at this time, I'm not at liberty to go into much detail about them, but I will say one of them involves the manufacturing of some of the raw materials that go into electric vehicles. Another involves the movie industry, and a third is a biotech-based company. All of these 3 companies have varying demands for land and building, et cetera. They go from roughly 75,000 square feet to over 600,000 square feet. But they're hot and they're heavy. They like Rockdale. We are among a small universe of firms or municipalities that they've narrowed their choices down to. In addition to that, that's on the large side. In addition to that, on April 4th, please mark it down on your calendar. April 4th is our next economic development breakfast. It's scheduled for 7:30 at the hospital. The topic for this particular breakfast will be resources for small businesses. And we've lined up a couple of folks who are the source of resources, specifically financial resources, available for small businesses, and we hope to get as many, we're working with the chamber to get as many small businesses to that April 4th breakfast as possible. Another subject, I have been a member of the Georgia Affordable Housing Coalition for a number of years since my time in Atlanta, and our annual spring meeting is going to take place this week. In fact, I leave tomorrow morning for Savannah and the GAHC conference. I'm going to be one of the keynote speakers, but I mention that because every time I get the opportunity, I'm going to talk about the need for affordable housing in Rockdale County. But not just affordable housing, but housing of all types in Rockdale County. This is my stump speech. People, as they grow, have different housing needs. From the time you grow up or graduate from college, your need is going to be different from when you have your first child. It's going to be different from when you're retired. It's going to be different when you lose a spouse or a divorce. We need to be in a position to have housing opportunities, housing choices for all of those stages of people's lives. Otherwise, they're going to go someplace else. And studies have shown that once they go someplace else, they're not likely to come back when another phase comes upon their lives. So the Georgia Affordable Housing Coalition is coming up, and I'm going to hopefully come back with some more ideas for how we might be able to expand, that is, our population of affordable housing. Commissioner Washington and I are working on pulling together some training for the CRETC and the Development Authority of Rockdale County boards, specifically when it comes to affordable housing, but also initiatives available and provided in the state of Georgia. A well-rounded, well-informed board makes better decisions. It's our hope to get our folks into those training sessions within the next 90 days or so. And then lastly, we are working with some professionals at Georgia Tech and University of Georgia to develop a workforce development strategic plan as the basis for wisely using the $300,000 that we got from the Department of Labor late last year, which the county so wonderfully matched. But we need to make sure that we are strategic as we invest those funds over the next couple of years or so. That is my brief report. There's other stuff that's going on, but I don't want to monopolize your time, but I'm certainly open for any questions the board or the audience might have.
Well, first of all, let me say thank you, Mr. Hanna, for coming out this morning, and I do appreciate you making mention of becoming a regular here in our meetings. I think it's important that the citizens hear more from what you call CRETC, which is Conyers Rockdale Economic Development Council. I wanted to also take a moment and ask for you to share what you're at liberty to share regarding Dutch Lions. Those insiders of us who are intimately involved with the community and the things that are going on, we are aware and some of us know, but there are a lot of folks who are listening and watching, they don't know who Dutch Lions is, they don't know anything about it. So just take a moment, if you would, and share what you're at liberty to share about who Dutch Lions is and what they're doing and what their plan is.
Sure. Dutch Lions is a organization based in the Netherlands, but which has a big footprint, I should say, in the United States. Dutch Lions sponsors and owns women's professional soccer teams. They currently own, I want to say two, one in Cincinnati, and I think the other is in the Great Northwest, but they own at least two professional women's soccer teams. They have chosen Rockdale as their preferred choice for a third team. They want to base a professional women's soccer team in Conyers, Rockdale. In order to do that, they have to have certain facilities. And those facilities, again, call for training facilities, a specific stadium, meaning a stadium with so many bleachers, so many boxes, so many square feet for locker rooms, et cetera, but a stadium that fits professional women's soccer provisions. They have been talking to the city of Conyers for at least 6, maybe as long as 9 to 12 months about the idea of having that team here, placing that team here. The city has been pretty staunch in what it's been looking for in terms of a couple of different things. Again, I can't go into a whole lot of details, but they have reached the point where both sides are comfortable that they will reach a final decision and have something signed pretty soon. This represents a huge, with a capital H, huge investment in this state and in this county and in this city. Not only will international women's players come here from literally all over the world, this team will host other teams from the national, I think it's the National Women's Soccer League, from all over the country. And maybe most important, it will kickstart and re-engage young girls back to being interested in playing soccer. One of the hallmarks of their programs elsewhere around the country is they grow soccer players there locally, preferably, hopefully, to play on the local team. So, yeah, the Dutch Lions is a big deal from a couple of different perspectives. They're going to create a boatload of jobs. They're going to provide answers to those folks who keep asking, what is there to do in Rockdale County? From a recreational sports standpoint, it'll go a long way towards hushing.
Well, I thank you for sharing with the folks who Dutch Lions are, who they are, and what they do. Well, I'm going to back up just one more moment because, again, I appreciate your willingness to come out and share with us on a more frequent basis about who you are and what you do and what you bring to this community. Take a moment, if you would, Mr. Hanna, and explain to those folks what your role is with the Conyers-Rockdale Economic Development Council and what you do on a day-to-day basis
Sure.
on behalf of the city of Conyers and Rockdale County as a whole. We look forward to seeing you as often as your schedule will allow, but I think folks need to be able to identify who you are and what it is you do when you come in.
Sure, sure. My official title is President and CEO of the Conyers-Rockdale Economic Development Council, CRETSI. As such, I look at it as my responsibility, among other things, to help expand the employment base in Conyers-Rockdale, to bring jobs to Conyers-Rockdale. And that happens, or that is accomplished in a couple of different ways. My office goes out and recruits companies that we want in Conyers-Rockdale. We go to companies who are already in Conyers-Rockdale and seek to make sure that they're happy. If they need anything that we can help out with to help facilitate that, but maybe most importantly, help them find ways to grow and expand their business and be more successful here in Conyers-Rockdale. To the extent that the business base grows, everybody benefits. The county benefits, the city benefits, the school board really benefits because those folks pay property taxes. And to the extent that we can get more companies to pay a bigger part of the property tax liability, to the extent that we can do that, that eases the burden on each of us as individual residents. I'm going to put in a plug for the school board. They have recently recognized, I say recently, over the past 18 months that I've been here, have recognized the importance of what I do and have begun to contribute in a number of different ways to our office. One such way is having, splitting the cost of a new workforce development liaison. Rita Braswell, Rita would be here, by the way, but she's in Jamaica on vacation. But splitting Rita's salary cost with the school board goes a long way. They recognize collecting upwards of 70 cents per property tax dollar. They recognize that to the extent that more dollars come in, it benefits them and all of the rest of us as well. In addition, we also work very closely with the Development Authority of Rockdale County. CRETSI as a board, as an entity, really is powerless when it comes to actually structuring and closing transactions. The development authorities in local municipalities really have the economic development power. We serve as staff for the Development Authority of Rockdale County, and so to the extent, again, given my background in economic development, to the extent that there's a deal to be done, we negotiate those deals along with our attorney at the Development Authority on behalf of the Development Authority of Rockdale County. So if someone is looking for a tax incentive, if someone is looking to create a tax allocation district, if somebody is looking to, one way or the other, create a deal for themselves with the municipalities, we, CRETSI, are the go-between between that private company and you all as public bodies, county, city, school board, and the Development Authority. In a nutshell, that's what I do on a daily basis.
Mr. Head, I can't thank you enough for what you do, and we certainly do welcome you in as often as your schedule allows. Before you take your seat, I will say this. I want to remind everyone about the announcement Mr. Hanna made about the upcoming event on April the 4th, Resources for Small Businesses. There's a lot of folk listening and watching this, and they want to be able to access resources for small businesses. What number can someone reach you and perhaps give them your address so they can engage with you and find out more about what's happening with this upcoming event and any other resources that may be coming out of the Conyers-Rockdale Economic Development Council? Sure.
I'll give you two numbers. My work number is 678-509-0133. That's 678-509-0133. My work cell number is 770-802-0119. 770-802-0119. Our address is literally across the tracks at 936 Green Street, Southwest. We are in the Chamber of Commerce building. 8:30 to 5, somebody's usually there, unless, like today, I'm going to be, or tomorrow I'll be traveling, so I'll be out of pocket. But please, by all means, give us a call. My email address, the other thing is Kevin at Conyers-Rockdale. Kevin at Conyers-Rockdale.com.
Commissioners, any questions or comments for Mr. Hanna? Commissioner Washington?
When you say affordable housing, could you explain what is meant by affordable housing to you?
Thank you very much, because that term has been beaten up so badly that it's not recognizable anymore. In my mind, affordable housing means housing for the workforce. Nurses, firemen, policemen, people who get up and go to work every day, but for whom housing has become literally unaffordable. So I take back, for the record, that term affordable and reclaim it as workforce housing, because that's really what it is, housing for people who are in the workforce and have been for a while. Thank you.
Good question. Commissioner Williams?
So that was one of my comments too, and I did have a question about, you said you were going to Savannah for the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Do they talk about transitional housing or supportive housing or anything?
That will be one of the things that's on the 2-day agenda, yes.
Okay, so I'd love to sit down with you after
Absolutely.
and get your feedback and hear what you've learned and
Okay.
see what we can do here in Rockdale. The other thing is, I just think a professional women's soccer team is super exciting.
That's very
And
cool.
offers a lot of opportunity.
That's very
So
cool.
thank you so much for your work and for your advocacy for
Well,
Rockdale.
I had a very small part in it, but I'll help share in the responsibility going forward, that's for sure.
Thank you so much. We'll be
My
seeing
pleasure.
you soon in the days ahead. Keep up the
Absolutely.
good work, Mr. Hanna. Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you all.
A lot going on and a lot of opportunities and resources for the citizens here in Rockdale County, for parents and families and young people, and certainly for our business community. Thank you again, Pastor Hill, for being with us this morning. Yes, indeed. Commissioners, it's time to move forward. I think we're now down, Executive Director, to item number 4 on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
I move to approve the agenda as published.
I second that motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from March 14th, 2023 and March 21st of 2023. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I second the motion.
It's been properly motioned and second. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. There's no unfinished business, so we're going to move right into the consent agenda. Item number 7. Commissioners, your pleasure, please.
I move to approve the items on the consent agenda as listed.
I second that motion.
Been properly motioned and second. Are there any comments or questions about the items on the consent agenda? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. That brings us now to the regular agenda. And guess what, Commissioners? There is no regular agenda. So that fast forwards us right into, just hit the turbo button, right into public comment. Are there any red comments cards that have come forward for public comment on this last Tuesday of the month of March?
Hey, I'm Linda Scott. We all know what the affordable housing is. It's rezoning for apartments and townhouses, which you guys have been throwing up all over the place. we have to have green space. That never enters your conversations to the public. This thing about townhouses and apartments, I know exactly what he's saying. And I hope you guys don't rezone any further for that kind of building. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and if you would, Director Mims is trying to get your attention there so you can fill out the red comment card, and we certainly do appreciate your comments this morning and all that you do for all of the citizens of Rockdale County. Are there any other comment cards this morning? Anybody, any other speakers that like to come forward during this time of public comment? Okay, you didn't even get a chance to read the disclaimer there.
I did not.
Rocking and rolling there, Executive Director.
I think it was pretty self-explanatory. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That was kind of a quick draw this morning.
That was quick. That was too
ready.
quick.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. All right. Okay, moving on. We'll move now to board comment. We'll start with Commissioner Washington.
All right. In my quest to honor Women's History Month, I found this, the woman who created voiceover technology, the technology that is behind Skype, Zoom, and many more, was an African-American female. Her name is Marion Crook. She has over 200 patents. And she right now she's a vice president at Google, but I thought it was very, very interesting to know that it was a woman, an African-American female, that is responsible for our technology takeover, and could pretty much say that they saved organizations and everything during the pandemic, because who didn't use Zoom and Skype and all of those things while we were going through the pandemic? So Marion Croak is the inventor of voice-over technology. Don't have a lot else, and that's it. That's all I have.
Shut the front door.
We're trying to leave.
All right. Commissioner Williams.
All right. First off, I wanted to congratulate Jennifer Rutledge, Executive Director Jennifer Rutledge.
Let's give her a round of applause.
She's a star, and we
Again.
already knew that, but now all of Congressional District 4 knows that. She was one of 17 women honored by Congressman Hank Johnson this weekend, and we couldn't have been more proud. It was awesome. So just looking at this, there's going to be tomorrow morning an education and training through Georgia Piedmont Technical College about manufacturing careers. It will be tomorrow in their Newton Conference Center from 9:30 to 12:30, and you can register on the spot. You don't have to register ahead. It's manufacturing offers dozens of job options with great pay. Salaries often start at more than $22 an hour. Today's manufacturing world is all about high-tech, enviable work environment, and education and training through Georgia Piedmont Technical College is free to those who qualify. So that is tomorrow. They're calling it Tech Exploration, the Manufacturing and Technical Education Experience, tomorrow at Georgia Piedmont Technical College's Newton Conference Center from 9:30 to 12:30. So thinking about women's history, so last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, I had a remarkable experience. We learned a number of years ago that we had a first cousin that we didn't know about. And he lives in Honduras but has residency in New Orleans also. but he works in the Netherlands, so when he talked about that company, I thought that was interesting. So he's had conversations over the last few years with two of my brothers, but because he flies through Atlanta, he came and spent a weekend with us. He knew nothing about our family. We knew nothing about him. We knew about his dad because he was my father's brother, and he occasionally, very occasionally, visited with us. But we spent the entire 48 hours from the time I picked him up at the airport on Saturday at noon and dropped him off Monday at noon. We did nothing but talk about family. And just trying to get a sense of his life, of our life, our connected families and connected family histories. So this morning, as I was thinking about women's history, I think maybe some years ago I may have shared this story about, I think she's about my 5th great-grandmother, but her name was Catherine Moore Berry, Berry being my maiden name. And it's just such an interesting story, and I had shared a little bit about it with Craig when he was here that weekend. But it said, at the time, American society did not easily permit women to take part in the Revolutionary War, but there were many women who significantly and definitely had a role in the formation of this country, and one of them was Catherine Kate Moore Berry. She was, when her husband Andrew became a captain and a commanding officer in the war, she helped him acting as a spy and a messenger, and even fought in some battles with him. She is best known for her role in warning the American militia the British were about to invade just before the decisive Continental Army victory at the Battle of Cowpens. So she had been acting as a scout, and she's often dubbed the Patrick Henry of, the female version of Patrick Henry. She's known as the heroine of the Battle of Cowpens. And there's a story that goes along with it that, and this little article says there's no facts to back it up, but it's been a legend for a long time that she took her 2-year-old daughter and tied her to a bedpost so she could not get away, while she got on her horse and ran and went to warn them that the British were coming. But I loved the ending of this. It says, Kate had single-handedly rounded up an impressive amount of local patriots to help General Morgan, and with her help he laid a trap for General Cornwallis and his men. And after that, Cornwallis retreated right back into the hands of George Washington. It says, yes, girl power from the 1780s. Even then, not all women were stay-at-home moms. And, just way back then, the role of women was impressive. And we know that that has been true throughout all of history. So I'll leave you a little family history of mine this morning.
All right. That's really interesting, and the dedication of those 48 hours where you spent just focusing and talking about family and the history. And there you are with your first cousin that you really didn't know, but you got a chance to engage and explore both worlds.
And he reminded me so much of my father. It was really interesting, and he looked just like my side of the family.
Wow. Always interesting. Always good spending that kind of time with your family too. That's always a plus.
Not always.
So next up, I want to call, and I'm going to remind Commissioner Washington, these meetings are televised and recorded for quality assurance and training purposes.
I will stand on that statement.
In the spirit of positiveness, we'll call up at this time, I'm going to ask that Director Mims come up and give us an overview of some of the goings on in and around Rockdale County. You've got probably several videos and several things that you'd like to share. Director Mims.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Madam Commissioners. We do have a lot of things coming up. Our first thing, let's pull up the State of the County flyer, please. We would like to invite the public out to the State of the County on Thursday, March 30th at 6 p.m. in the Rockdale Auditorium. That is right next door. You guys are all welcome at 903 Main Street. So that's this Thursday at 6 p.m. Our next activity is this Sunday, the Linda Ham campaign. This is the chairman's, I think, 14th annual Linda Ham. So for all of our senior citizens, if you need a ham to complement your Easter meal, please come out on Sunday at the Olivia Haydale Senior Center at 3 p.m. As long as we have hams available, we will be giving them out. Our third thing, Mr. Chairman, are you going to speak about the announcement that Commissioner Williams just mentioned? Please pull up Executive Director Rutledge picture for her award. It's coming.
And yes, while it's coming, I will make mention of both Commissioner Williams highlighted Executive Director Rutledge. She received the Trailblazer Award this past weekend from Congressman Hank Johnson, who represents the 4th District. Let's give her another round of applause. Absolutely. I must say that this award is given out by the Congressman. He's been doing this for a number of years, and women throughout his district, the 4th Congressional District, are recipients of this award. And one of the things I found interesting when he called Executive Director up to the stage to receive her award, the Congressman kind of took a little shot at Rockdale, but he cleaned it up real quick. And what he said was, as he was calling her up, he says, well, Executive Director Rutledge has the burden of working in Rockdale County. And he cleaned it up because everybody was looking like, well, okay, the burden. He cleaned it up by saying she works for the vigor and the very strong vitality of the BOC and Chairman Nesbitt. So I said, that was a good cleanup there, Congressman. Absolutely. And he made it clear that, and he even used our phrase too, Deputy Director Jameson. He says, in Rockdale, they're rocking and rolling. So give the Executive Director another round of applause. She represented us very, very well. We're very proud of her work and what she's done here in Rockdale and representing us in the 4th Congressional District here in Rockdale County. So yes, thank you.
So, can I just mention
Yes.
two other Rockdale women who were also honored? Cindy Ball with
Yes, from the school board.
With the schools, Rockdale County Public Schools, and our former commissioner, Janice Van Ness, was also recognized.
Yes, let's give them all a round of applause. You know, it always makes us feel good because Rockdale County is well represented, and we were certainly well represented this weekend with the Trailblazer Awards coming out of the Congressman's office. What else you have for us this morning?
Would you like us to talk about the War on Litter video?
Of
Would that be- okay,
course, of
awesome.
course.
So our Public Relations Department had the pleasure of documenting our War on Litter campaign with code enforcement and several of the departments in the county. So would you guys gear up that video, please?
Y'all do know this is the war. Can you say war on litter? Come on, say it like you mean it. War on litter.
We are out here about to attack this war on litter. We're gonna, all the different departments, we probably have about 10 departments that have shown up to converge on Rockdale County, right? To hit our right-of-ways and our streets and pick up all this litter and illegal dumping and anything else.
This is our largest contingency of employees and volunteers this year ever. We got nearly 200 people out today with the war on litter. I think it's a good look for leadership every now and then to be out here with your people. You have to inspect what you expect, and you have to lead by example. So I'm not going to ask anybody that works for Rockdale County government to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And the beauty of Rockdale County, you have a chairman who wears two hats. I serve as the chairman and the CEO, the manager of day-to-day operations. This allows me to deal with all of the corporate issues of Rockdale County, and it also allows me to deal with all the hands-on, tangible, touchable issues in terms of talking to citizens, going where the issues are, being out on the ground, in the trenches with the employees where the problems are.
So, Mr. Chairman, that's just a few of the items that we've been covering or that we have coming up for Rockdale County.
Well, we thank you, Director Mills, but I want to take a moment and say thank you to our Code Enforcement Manager, Doug Chandler, and our Code Enforcement Supervisor, Corey Brown, and all of the employees who came out on last Friday to help clean up Rockdale County, and Mayor Evans and the City of Conyers, our partner on this war on litter. Let's give them all a round of applause. Let me say very quickly about the war on litter. Although we do two big events, one in the spring and another one in the fall of the year, the war on litter is ongoing. It's every day. And the real participants in the war on litter are our citizens and people coming through and passing through Rockdale County. It is frustrating when we see all the trash and the debris and the litter that people put out. Our community improvement team does a fantastic job. Code enforcement does a fantastic job. But as soon as they clean it up, 2 or 3 days later, it's back out there again. So we always encourage our citizens that when you see something, say something. I want to make sure we take advantage of some more of the activities that are happening in and around Rockdale County. Parks and Recreation, they stay loaded all the time. Ms. Wilson is making her way up. She's the Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation for Rockdale County. Deputy Director Wilson, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well.
Madam Commissioners, how are you? We also have, we have our Easter egg hunt extravaganza. It's happening April 8th. We do have a lovely flyer. I don't know if they can put it up on the screen, but it's going to be at Costley Mill Park this year. It's free of charge. Starts at 10 o'clock. It's going to 1 o'clock. We'll have face painting, pictures with the Easter Bunny, also an Easter egg hunt for the kids and a little something for the adults.
All right.
Yeah.
What's the date of that again?
April 8th, Saturday.
April 8th.
The day before Easter.
All right.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Very good. And it's going to be out at Costley Mill Park.
Correct.
Very good. From 10 to 1.
Yes.
All right.
Free.
Free of charge. Absolutely. All right. Parents really appreciate that word, free. They do. Absolutely. It makes it even much more fun.
Yes.
What else you have for us?
We also have our spring, our May through June digital catalog coming out. We're also going to have hard copies as well coming soon. We have our wine down in the park. It's going to be at Costley Mill May 19th. That's also free of charge, something new. We'll have light jazz playing, wine vendors, all approved. In addition to that, we also have...
No, hold on. What day is the... Okay, there it is. There it is right there.
So it's a 21 and over event, of course. Your ID must be present when you do come.
It's the Friday wind down.
Yes.
And that's also going to be out at Costley Mill Park.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and again, you got to be 21 and older.
Yes.
Okay. All
ID
right.
must be present.
ID must be present.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. This is a new activity.
Yes, it's a new activity.
Yes.
That's correct.
All
yes.
right.
Yeah.
All right. What else you have for us?
We also have our, let me see, sorry. Give me 1 second, Chairman. Yes, we do have our Sunset Cinema. That's correct. We have our Sunset Cinema in August, actually, and that's going to be on the beach, and that is at Costley Mill Park. We'll also kick off the Sunset Cinema, the two events at Johnson Park. That'll be in May, I believe in June, but I'll have exact dates for you by the next meeting.
We got
Yes.
a lot of good things going on. I want to go back to one of the things you mentioned, your digital programming book.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about your
Yeah, so-
upcoming publication.
Yeah, so during the pandemic, we thought about being virtual, being touchable online. So we have a digital brochure that we do in quarterly fashion. So that goes over 3 to 4 months of programs that you all can go to our website, and there is a link. In addition, we do have a QR code that you can use, and we also have a mobile app. So on our new website with the county, you can actually get to the digital brochure. And it'll take you through all of our amenities, our green space offerings, our rentals, all the activities we have going on, points of contact. So.
Let me tell you, that's an added plus. We were hosting the shop talk at one of the local barbershops a couple of weekends ago, and one of the parents that was there, she says, "There's not a lot going on in Rockdale. Y'all don't have anything for the kids." I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa!" And before I could answer, I got to tell you, Chief McDaniel, who was on the panel, she answered. She stood up for Parks and Recreation. They hold it. Yes, we do. We've got plenty of things going on for our young people in the county. But a lot of times, what it is, folks don't know and they're unaware. That's really what the issue is.
Yes,
but
sir.
I like what you just said. It's on the website. Spread the news. And we want to make sure that folks can access all of our social media platforms. That's where the information is. It's there. And there are tons of things for young people to be involved in and engaged in here in Rockdale County. But you got to know the point of access, and that is our county website.
Yes.
We're so excited about the brand new website. Anything else you have at this time you want to share?
No, not at this time.
All right,
Yeah.
very good. Let's give Parks and Rec a round of applause.
Thank you.
Next up is Executive Director Barkley from the Tax Assessor's Office, and he's got some exciting out-of-the-box news that's coming out of the Tax Assessor's Office. Executive Director Barkley.
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
Madam Commissioners. I don't know if it's exciting, but we're going to be open Saturday from 8 to 12. We will be taking homestead applications from 8 a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. on that Saturday. This is an opportunity for anyone who can't make it to our office between the normal work hours, or if they can't do it online and they don't have, I guess, the skill or a computer to be able to do it online, we will be open and available for them to come in and apply for a homestead exemption. Saturday is the actual deadline. It's not April Fool's, so come in Saturday, get your homestead applied for in order to get the discount for this year. If you don't make it by April 1st, that particular exemption is going to be for the following year. So you have to own and occupy as of January 1st of each particular year in order to qualify for the exemption. There are several things that we're going to need in order to verify that you currently live there. We may need your voter registration, your car registration, a utility bill, and just a copy of the deed just to show that you own the property.
And Executive Director Barkley, we certainly appreciate you all being available and accessible on April 1st. Let me ask this question. Once a resident apply for the homestead exemption, do they ever have to apply again, or that takes care of the time that they own that property?
Yeah, as long as once you've applied, you don't necessarily have to do anything different unless something changes as far as your status. It could be your marriage status, or you decide to relocate or move, you change your mailing address. Those are things that's going to trigger our office to know that you're no longer at that particular location. And then you may lose your exemption, or you may need to come in and justify why there's a change to whatever your status may be.
And I bet you there's a lot of people that didn't know that, so that's good information. Certainly appreciate you. But give us those hours one more time on Saturday.
We will be available from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. And also, I just wanted to mention again, if you've already applied for the senior exemption, you do not have to come in and reapply. The changes as far as in the exempt amount is going to be automatically applied once you receive your assessment notice as well as your tax bill. So we are going to send the notices out. We have them scheduled to go out April 21st. So around that time, look to receive a notification from us. On the notification, it would say, this is not a tax bill, so do not send us any money. It's just to notify you of what the value is going to be for that particular year.
All right, very good. I think it's worth being excited about myself.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's a lot of excitement because we're being open and accessible on hours that we're not normally there to operate. And I think that's a big deal. It says a lot about your leadership in your office to make sure that we accommodate the livelihoods of all of the residents in Rockdale County. This is good information. Let's give Executive Director Barkley a round of applause in the Tax Assessor's Office. So this weekend, of course, was a super busy weekend. I'm telling you, all the rain and all the inclement weather, it was still busy. We still had work to do. Executive Director Rutledge was the recipient of the Trailblazer Award. We talked about that. We're proud of her. But we've got another director who was rocking and rolling on behalf of Rockdale County, too. And I'm going to call up Director Brian Kelly. Give him a round of applause as he makes his way up. Come on up, Director Kelly, because I want to talk about you. I want people to see who you are. This weekend, Director Kelly was awarded the Engineering Award, which is a statewide recognition in the state of Georgia. And let me just tell you what brought this award to Director Kelly. Director Kelly serves as the director of the Rockdale Department of Transportation. The state-of-the-art design and safety pedestrian bridge, the Lake Capri Rock Bridge Road Bridge, brought us state attention by way of Director Kelly. Give him another round of applause. Now, I have to share with y'all, this was a black tie event. He was decked out with his tuxedo on, and his lovely first lady was with him. And we were in a room of over 3,000 people. And just to know that Rockdale County, one of the 159 counties in the state of Georgia, they called us to the stage as he, along with the engineers who were part of the project, to bring the Lake Capri Bridge into fruition. They highlighted the point, and I really didn't think about this until I saw us up on the big screen. I shared this with Chief Sanders, that not only did we replace the bridge, we didn't repair it, we replaced the bridge with 50 years and beyond, but here's the safety part. We created a walkway for safety and pedestrian safety for folks to walk across, and there's a homeowner. I can't think of the lady's name. She lives in the Lake Capri area. She really highlighted the level of appreciation. It took a while. I mean, it took some time to get to that point, but we didn't repair it. We didn't patch it up. We completely replaced the bridge. We were so busy trying to get that bridge back open, we were not thinking about being a recipient of an award. The leadership and the dedication. That's right. Let's play that right quick. I think that's really important because we glaze over this so many times.
This day has been in the works for a long time, but it's so good that it is finally here and that we have done something in excellence.
We didn't patch up this bridge. We replaced the bridge. This is forward thinking. This bridge will take us beyond 50 years plus. We've had to be patient throughout this process. It has hindered the residents of the Lake Capri community and all of the folks who travel Rock Bridge Road between Rockdale County and DeKalb County.
This is really a piece of art. It has a sidewalk going down. It has nice walls along the sides. It's beautiful, and we know that it's going to last for our lifetimes and beyond.
You got to have plans, engineering, and all sorts of things. Send out bids, that kind of thing. Nothing is done quickly.
So as we cut this ribbon and celebrate the grand reopening of this brand new bridge, and I look at the engraved pieces of the concrete, it doesn't say 1975, it doesn't say 1965, 55, or 45. It says 2022.
I live right across the street from the bridge, so the view that you're seeing right here is the view that I look at every morning when I wake up. The sun rises in my face in the morning, and I get to see this beautiful view right here.
Collaboration allows the citizens to be a part of the change that's happening. So that's what we want to do moving forward. This is an example of that. We want you guys to be a part of the change that's going to happen in Rockdale for infrastructure. I thank you guys for being here. I thank you for coming out. I want you to enjoy what you have here, and we look forward to doing many more things in the future with you through the Rockdale Department of Transportation.
Let's give them another round of applause. So I got to tell you that Director Kelly is one of our newest directors, and I'm telling you, he takes his job extremely serious. I don't know how many times that he and Chief Sanders talked throughout any given day. She also talked about his interaction with the Georgia Department. They know who Brian Kelly is at GDOT, and that means they know who Rockdale County is, and that's very, very important. As we were standing in the line to go up to the stage to receive this award, and he went up first, as he should, and he leaned over to me and said, Mr. Chairman, I'm looking forward to being right back here when we finish the Courtesy Parkway Bridge. That never even in that moment, it didn't even hit my mind. I'm like, wow, that kind of leadership and forward thinking with engineering and design to make sure that Rockdale doesn't miss the mark. One more time, give another round of applause. You can say whatever you want to say there, just about, Director Kelly.
Well, good morning, Commissioners and Chairman. First of all, I want to thank my team. Trying to establish and grow this department, I really had to infuse some talent, and I want to thank them for participating. We had to get some assistance and some of the engineering from our consultants to help with this, and I really wanted to say I appreciate them for that expertise and that excellence that they provided here to RDOT. Things like this don't happen in a vacuum. They take time. I know everyone they see, for example, the bridge was out 24 plus months, and that clock is ticking. But at the same time, we have to prepare and do it correctly. We don't want to have a structure that we put up and the first storm comes through and we lose the structure. So we have to make sure everything is processed, everything is thought out, and we have all those minute brain-numbing calculations figured out. But they're important. So I want to say thank you to our team, and thank you to you guys, and thank you to the public of Rockdale for being patient with us. Sometimes these things do take a while, but in the end, we try to give you the best product that we can be awarded awards like this for. So,
all right. Thank you, Director. We do have some photo. We'll try to hopefully we may be able to get it up before the end of this meeting. As public relations is working on getting that photo back up, highlighting Director Kelly. I do want to talk a little bit more real quickly about the 14th annual Linda Ham that's coming up. Director Mims made mention of this. For many, many years, 14 years ago when we started this project, we had to go through a series of rounds of reminding our senior citizens to be over at the Olivia Haydale Center at 3 o'clock. Well, it's been probably about 5 or 6 years since we've ever had to remind them to be there at 3 o'clock. They are there around about 2 p.m. and the line is all the way wrapped around on Dogwood Drive. I do want to say that it is a first come, first served. As the director mentioned, once we are out of the hams, we're out of them, and we encourage folks to come out early. But here's what I really want to make mention of. If you're listening to this broadcast, there's plenty much time left to donate a ham. And we want to encourage all of our local sororities and fraternities and all of our churches. We certainly love our churches to get involved. They brought the flyer back up on the screen, but this is an opportunity for our local community to get involved with donating these hams. And I want to say this again, that a lot of the grandparents or the senior citizens, for whatever reasons, a lot of them are stuck raising their grandchildren, and they're on a fixed income. And it does matter, and it does make a difference for that upcoming Easter holiday meal. So if you are in any kind of financial position where you can donate and you want to contribute to blessing a household for this upcoming Easter holiday, you can go and drop your ham off over at 1636 Dogwood Drive at the Courtesy Forward dealership. Courtesy Ford has been our platinum sponsor for many, many years. You can also take your ham over to the Olivia Haydale Senior Center on Dogwood Drive. They have a freezer there, deep freezer as well. We will be handing those hams out this coming Sunday, April the 2nd. At 3 o'clock, and I can tell you by 4 o'clock it will be over and done with, because they'll be there by 2 o'clock. You've seen it. Both of y'all have been out and been a part of this. If you come in to volunteer, yes, we love to have the help of the volunteers, but what we like that volunteer to be carrying when he or she shows up is a ham. Come with a ham in your hand so that you can lend a ham. So we're excited about this. Is our 14th year doing this, and this is a big deal for the people in Rockdale County, particularly our seniors, who look forward, I might say, for this opportunity and to be able to be blessed. So if you're listening and you want to be benevolent during this upcoming Easter holiday, we ask that you will look within yourselves and please donate a ham for our Lend a Ham event that's coming up. And again, it is first come, first serve. Now, Director Mims, are we quite there yet on the photo of Director Kelly? No. Not yet. Okay, well, that's okay. We've got just a little bit more work to do, and maybe we'll circle back to you. I'm going to call up our Executive Director, Tony Holmes, from Talent Management. Now, she's coming up to help me out this morning. She's going to make her way to the podium, Commissioners, because I'm about to get into my Women's History Month presentation here. And as I've been thinking about Women's History Month, this is the last Tuesday of the month of March, which means we don't have but a few more days to recognize the work of women and what they've done throughout this land. Now, y'all know I always kind of use this as a little segue. I'm a native of Augusta, and y'all do remember the late, great godfather of soul, James Brown. And one of the lyrics to his song was that this is a man's world. But then he backs it up, Pastor Hazel. He said, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl. In Rockdale County, in order for us to get things done, when I think about the leadership of this organization and the number of women, Executive Director Holmes, help me out just a little bit. Let's start with the top leadership. Let's start with the executive leadership team. Who are they and how many are there?
Okay, females, women in Rockdale County. That would include our Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Sue Sanders.
Just wave your hand, Chief Sanders. There you go.
Chief Sanders. Executive Director Rutledge. She is there next to Chief Sanders. Myself, Executive Director Tony Holmes, and then Melissa is also, Director Mims also sits in our executive team meetings on Monday mornings. So that's our executive team.
Okay, now talk to us about our directors and our deputy directors from leadership.
Yes. Actually, for the leadership team, there's 14, and that does include the COO. Out of the 14, 5 of them are women. So in this room, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 6 of them are women. We're missing Director Moore Jackson, but our project manager in leadership, Vicki Gibson, is sitting here in her place. So we have another woman that's sitting here in the absence of Director Moore Jackson. So those are our female directors with Rockdale County. So 15, approximately almost 50% of the directors are females in Rockdale County.
Well, let's give them a round of applause. So one of the things I do remember a few years that one of our local newspapers, media outlets, On Common Ground News, they did a feature story on the number of women in leadership with Rockdale County government, and it featured a good number of the women that Executive Director Holmes just talked about. Okay, now you did the executive leadership, and then you did directors and deputy directors, but let's talk about women as a whole.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I looked around and I didn't say their names, but do you mind if I go ahead and announce the women that are here? Because I said, I looked at Vicki, but I was thinking Director Moore Jackson, but Vicki is here. And we talked about our COO, our Executive Director of Government Affairs. I didn't mention our fire chief. I said she was here, I looked at her, but Chief Marion McDaniels, fire chief for Rockdale County, and again, Ms. Melissa Mims, our Director for Public Relations. So I want to make sure I announce their names. And you've got Deputy Director Barnum from EMA sitting there, and you've got our chief. Wait, I can announce them. That's on your list. Okay, I'm getting ahead of you. Go down your list. So those are our directors, and when we get to our deputy directors, we have There's 8 deputy directors that are female, so I'm going to go ahead and announce their names. Not all of them are in the room today, but Deputy Director Joy Caldwell with Public Relations. Deputy Director from my department, Kimberly Redd with Talent Management. Deputy Director Susan Morgan, who is over Senior Services. Deputy Director Tahira Wilson, and she is here in the absence of Director Redd. Deputy Director Meredith Barnum from EMA, sitting next to our Fire Chief. Deputy Director or Chief, Deputy Director Sharon Webb from Fire Rescue. Deputy Director Valerie Jackson, also from Fire Rescue, and Deputy Director Lynn Cumby from the Board of Assessors. Mr. Chairman, I also would like to acknowledge our Chief Strategy Officer. She's sitting back there, which is Miss Lisa Chester.
Let's give them all a wonderful round of applause. All right, and go.
You mentioned about the population in general. So when we think about public safety, we've made such strides with Chief Marion McDaniel in terms of increasing the number of females that are operating in our fire, but also in public safety in our sheriff's office. And throughout the county, we do have approximately, and this is just going to be an estimate, about 50% of our population is female in Rockdale County. So we definitely not just working in Rockdale County, but in leadership roles in Rockdale County. Managers, supervisors, again, directors, executive directors, and of course our fire chief and our COO. And the 2 ladies sitting to your left and your right, our commissioners, Commissioner Dr. Doreen Williams, as well as Commissioner Washington. Female leadership, Chairman.
Absolutely. Give them all another round of applause. Thank you, Executive Director Holmes, for your leadership and assisting me with this. I tell you, when we think about Women's History Month here in Rockdale County and moving this organization forward, and even on a day-to-day basis of making sure that the work gets done, women in leadership are making it happen every day in Rockdale County. I couldn't imagine and wouldn't want to be in a place, Ms. Corbin, where there's not a woman. I wouldn't even want to imagine that at all. What a world, what a world, what a world. So I just thank God for the women and all that they bring, and let's just give God a round of applause. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. He don't ever make any mistakes. Yes, indeed. Now, we finally have, as you can see, the photo up there of Director Kelly standing there in the middle with one of our engineering companies to the right of him. And then, of course, you see me up there. But this was a class act event. It really penetrated my mindset to be there because, again, when we're busy doing the work, this is something we just don't think about. This didn't come to our mind. I wasn't even aware of this happening until we received the email that we were going to be there. And then I learned that there was a black tie event. It was a really, really big deal with so many engineering firms and companies across the state of Georgia. Oftentimes, because we do so much to make sure we take care of our citizens and our community, we don't understand, or we miss the message of being on the regional and sometimes the statewide stage of the work that we do on behalf of our citizens in Rockdale County. So we really are proud. Let's give Director Kelly another round of applause, representing us quite well. Absolutely. Now, that wraps up my comments for this morning. I'm going to move to Chief Sanders and make sure that I'm not missing anything, or perhaps she has something she wants to add that everybody needs to be aware of. Chief Sanders.
Good morning. Just wanted to provide a few of the numbers from the War on Litter. So we collected 4,000 pounds of trash, cleaned up 5 illegal dump sites, 7 tires, 1 deer, and all of the county departments were represented. So there was,
wow. Let's give them another round of applause. One thing that I'm noticing, Chief, and everyone, commissioners, that each time we do the War on Litter event, the number in terms of the pounds or tons of trash is going down. So that is a good sign. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that because you see the white paper trash all throughout the county, but each time we do this event, it appears that the numbers are going down, or decreasing, and that's a very good thing. What else you have, Chief?
That's all this morning. Thank you.
All right, very good. Executive Director Rutledge, anything from the legislative world, state or federal, that we need to be aware of here in Rockdale County?
Well, tomorrow is Sine Die, and thank goodness. At midnight, it'll be the 40th day of the session. This session has been a little bit unique on the state level in the sense that there was just a lot of changes this year. You have over 50-something new elected officials. You have a new speaker. You had a new Senate Pro Tem. All of the committees were switched around, so a little bit of a fruit basket turnover. And of course, within the last week, everything gets wild and crazy and chaotic, and a flurry of bills are going on, which I think most people are aware of. But there are a couple of good things that homeowners and taxpayers can look forward to because of the governor and the legislation this year. You'll get, if you are a homeowner, you will see about a $500 credit on your property tax bill. And also, if you filed your 2021 and 2022 taxes, you'll receive a refund in the form of however you got your refund to begin with, or how you get payment, depending on the way you file. So those are some surefire things to look forward to that I think is pretty exciting. And other than that, that is all I have to report this morning.
Well, I have $1 million question for you, Executive Director
I'm ready.
Rutledge. Is there any need for executive session this afternoon?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time this morning and interest in Rockdale County. Happy Tuesday, happy Easter, safe weekend, and this meeting is adjourned.